Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Scorpio for April 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, or click on the link below this video to see my astrology blog and my other blogs. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and check out my course, which is enrolling now, Creating Successful Online Business. So what's going on in April? We've got this busy time astrologically that we're just coming from. February was a time for forward movement, for action. The eclipses came in March along with a lot of other astrological busyness, and it's brought changes, and some of that news is still coming in April. Then once we get into April, we still have personal planets starting to move into Aries, which brings that familiar drive to action. But at the same time, Mars is getting ready to go retrograde. Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde. And so we've got this energy that's building mass in this forward movement. And then forces are coming against it and pushing back on it. That's the general energy of the month. We'll talk about more specifics. Mars will go retrograde on April 17th through June 29th. I highly recommend that you watch my Mars retrograde video and check out my corresponding Mars retrograde blog on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You want to familiarize yourself with the do's and don'ts for this transit because it is lengthy. The total transit is about 6 to 7 months if you include the pre and post retrograde shadow periods. And there are lots of things that are well indicated to do and lots of things that are not well indicated to do, including launching new things or starting new relationships or taking things to a new higher level. Anything launching or new we want to avoid. And there are some other pieces in there as well. This is especially important for Scorpios because Pluto is your ruler, but Mars is your co-ruler. So when we're ruled by a planet, its movements affect us more. And the more planets you have in Scorpio, the more you're affected by this. So you want to familiarize yourself with that. So Mars does this retrograde thing. And in general, Mars rules your oomph. It's your get up and go. You know, it's your gusto. It's your drive. It's your creative forces. It's your sexual drive. It's your forces that want to create other things. Basically just pure creativity in this raw form. And when it goes backwards, those kind of things are not as indicated to try to push forward. It's a wonderful time for reassessing and going back over things and continuing to do work on things you've already done. But because there's this energy of wanting to move forward but not being able to, the keynotes that are usually associated with Mars retrograde are frustration and anger, especially if there are unresolved issues. Retrogrades tend to unearth unfinished business, and that is definitely going to happen. My mission for you, if you choose to accept it, and I'll give you more information here and in the Mars retrograde video and blog on how to do that, is to create a situation during the Mars retrograde where you are comfortably productive. I am on full throttle all the time. I'm ruled by Mars as well because I have Aries rising. And people who are just on in full force all the time, when Mars goes retrograde, this actually offers a really nice break for you. I know I'm planning a month vacation minimum during that time, and I recommend that you do the same if it's in the cards for you. Or you can just plan to put yourself on a vacation even if you're home by pushing as many things through as possible that feel like they need to get out in February into March. And then when the energy really starts slowing down, then you can kick back and you hopefully have extra money put away. You've done a lot of work that you can continue working on and move things along a continuum. That's perfectly fine to do when Mars is in retrograde. But you're not launching new things and you're not trying to have big pushes forward. We are still having eclipse news coming in, and the stories from the eclipse news that came in are continuing to be told. Often you'll get one big piece of eclipse information and then pieces that come along with it. So April is still very ripe for pieces to come in for eclipse news. So it makes it very active in that way. But usually eclipse related news it comes with things that you don't really have that much of a choice. It's like you're responding to them, but in many ways there's not that much you can do. It's like you're doing what has to be done, but they're often non-negotiable. You know, it doesn't always come with a choice. It usually comes with, hey, this is what's up, And how are you going to handle it, or what are you going to do with that? When Venus gets into Aries, the sun will already be there. Mercury will just be about to get out of Aries. There's going to be this continued strong move towards action and forward movement. Venus rules love and beauty and money. So you might be feeling especially froggy when it comes to those things, like antsy and anxious and wanting to move forward. But it's not the best time. I'm letting you know this because the tendency for you to be more impulsive or reckless with spending money or romantic things is high. But it doesn't mean that it's the best thing to follow through with those things. One of the things that I recommend doing when Mars is in its retrograde or shadow period is to exercise more frequently, especially for Scorpios and Aries. You're going to have more of an edge to you, this edge that Mars brings about that people with Aries and Scorpio just kind of tend to always have. It may be more pronounced. I highly recommend, as I always do, deep inner work, because the deep inner work will help you get to the root of what you're so angry about and help you to stop perpetuating cycles that are not necessary, you know? So it's a really good time for getting back to basics and getting back to the simplicity of things. Something that is always in style is clearing old things out, and retrogrades are wonderful times to do that. So while you might not be able to be pushing a lot of things forward or launching things, going back over, like tidying your house. There's an amazing book that I just found called, gosh, no, it's escaping me. It's by Marie Kondo, Kondo, and it's like the magical art of tidying or something like that. And then the follow-up book is called Spark Joy. And she talks about using this Japanese art of simplicity, and she has her own approach that is very unique to really, like, once and for all, stop letting clutter and energy accumulate around you, and it helps to transform every aspect of your life. So if you want to direct your energy into something, a project like that would be amazing for you to undertake. And that will keep you from doing things you're not supposed to be doing and give you, you know, that edge that you might carry, something productive to work with. One of the most important days astrologically in the year is the new moon in Aries, I believe, because this is one of the 2 best days of the year to plant seeds for what you want to create in your life in the next year. The other best day for this is your birthday. But since your birthday is nicely spaced out between then and now, depending, maybe, I don't know when your birthday is if you're watching for Scorpio rising, but regardless of when it is, April 7th, the new moon in Aries, besides your birthday, is the best time to do a vision board. If you don't know what a vision board is, you can look at more of it up online. It's basically a place either in the virtual realms where you have a board or you have a literal, like, cardboard, piece of cardboard, and you clip out pictures, essences, energies that you want to bring into your life. So part 1 of the process is the getting clear on what you want. Part 2 is the gathering these energies all in one place. And then the part 3 is feeling them as if they're already true. And then the part 4 is keeping that vision board somewhere around you where your subconscious mind can be picking up on it. Now, vision boards do tend to work even if you're not looking at them all the time, or even if you don't have them in a space where you can see them. Many people who do vision boards will tell you that they found vision boards that they made a while ago and were like, oh my gosh, I have all those things now, and how cool that is, you know? But there's something additional by using the power of the subconscious mind, which wants to help you, which is like this loyal servant, which in many ways, you know, I love dogs, but in many ways, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind is more obedient than a dog. I don't know about your dogs, but my dogs are not always very obedient. So, but your mind is obedient. It's very literal. So if you surround yourself by the kinds of energy that you want to create more of, both with this Marie Kondo book on tidying, with the vision board, just changing the energy around your work, home, car space to have more coherence and more clarity, then you're going to bring more coherence and clarity and flow into your life. This is a magical moment for this. You also get 10 new moon wishes, which is wonderful. And when you base those on the energies of Aries, that's going to be even more powerful for you. So anything having to do with individuality, pioneering, trailblazing, your physical vitality, your physical body, what you're presenting out into the world, inspiring people, things like that are all Aries related things. So then so let's talk about where the new moon is going to be for Scorpios. For you early degree placements, so this is basically October born and then the first couple of days of November are early degree placements. That new moon for you is going to be in your 6th house. And then the rest of you is going to be in the 5th house. And some of you in the middle there are going to have it on the line, and it could manifest either way. If you're watching for your rising sign, it would be 0 to 9 degrees is the early degree placement. So for you all Scorpio rising 0 to 9 degrees, you'll probably have that in your 6th house. And then the middle and later degree placements, which is like 10 degrees up to 29 degrees, it will likely be in your 5th house. So new moon energy brings in new things. We already have new energy coming in from the eclipse. Very powerful energy, and here is more new energy. So for those of you who are early degree placements or early degree, whether it's rising or sun sign, this new energy is coming in your 6th house, and the 6th house is the house of health and well-being, and this is also the house of your general environment. So this makes this Marie Kondo recommendation. That's the first time I've mentioned it in the horoscope, so now I see that that was an intuitive thing reminding me that this is good for your 6th house. And even for you middle to later degree placements, even if the new moon is not in your 6th house, then you have a crowding of energy in your 6th house. So for all Scorpios, your health, your meditation practice, your daily environment, applying feng shui, applying any kind of principles of home organization and simplifying, clearing up your space is going to be some of the best things that you can do with this energy. You might see some major improvements in your surroundings very quickly from this as well. For the rest of you that have the new moon in the 5th house, and really actually for all Scorpios, you all have a crowding of energy in your 5th house. So regardless of how it's coming in, the 5th and 6th houses are accentuated for all Scorpio placements. So the 5th house has to do with children, creativity, the whole line of events that talk about creation. So romance, true love, conception, birth, child rearing. And that's the same whether it's actual human children or whether the inspiration comes in and then the creation occurs for an artistic expression. The 5th house also rules athleticism. It rules singing and dancing and acting and directing and things having to do with those kind of talents. And it has to do with hobbies and fun and romance. So any level of the creative process is very strongly worked with here. And all Scorpios have this strong energy. And this is a really great go-to place for the retrogrades, because whether we're talking about Mercury retrograde or Mars retrograde, in this case both, if you're going back over projects that you've worked on before, that's going to be well indicated here. If you have a new idea for a project, it's okay to work on it, just don't launch it. It doesn't mean that you can't be creatively inspired and work on something new. It just means don't launch it and bring it out into the world and make a big to-do about it. In your own private creative space, it's good for you to take the inspiration that comes during these transits and apply them towards being creative, whatever that looks like for you. So then we have a full moon. Well, actually, we have Pluto going retrograde, and this is more important for you because that is your main ruler. So going back over things, you know, Pluto in general really likes retrograde. It does a lot better in retrograde than some planets do because it's more natural to go back and in for the energy of Pluto and the energy of Scorpio. So the fact that it's going retrograde, I don't think that that's a detriment to you. Sometimes when it has to do with launching things, we want our Pluto, you know, we want our ruling planet to be direct, but Pluto was retrograde for so long out of the year that I wouldn't worry too much about that. But this is a great time, here's the theme again, going back over things, clearing things out, getting things organized so that you get really clear on what you want to bring with you to your next level of experience. We've got the full moon on April 21st or April 22nd, depending on which time zone you're in. And this brings fullness, completion, fruition, manifestation, possibly drama, to the energy of Scorpio. And so when you have a full moon in your sign, it's always more powerful. If you have any placements that are close to 2 degrees of Scorpio, this is going to be more intense for you because it will happen right on your placement, which can add intensity. So the ending or the completion or the drama or the recognition or the coming to fruition will be more powerful. Most of you are going to experience this full moon energy in your 12th house. So even though it's in the house that rules your first house, because of the early degree, only just the first couple of days of the birthday, like the 23rd, 24th, or whatever it turns over there, will actually officially have this happen in your first house. The rest of you, this is going to be in the 12th house. So this can have a lot to do with some sort of inner mental crisis, or some people experience it as dark night of the soul, or just a complete uncertainty about something, or a big fear coming in front of you to be dealt with. I always talk about this energy in the 12th house as being very Harry Potter-like, where we realize that our demons outside of us are really inside of us and we have to slay them inside of us. So if something like that comes up, you have an amazing opportunity to heal something once and for all, depending on how you deal with it. There's an amazing book. It's one of my favorite books, all-time favorite books, called Marriage of Spirit. You can get it on Amazon. It's one of the more expensive books that I recommend. It's a hardcover, beautiful hardcover that will be your best friend forever. You might be able to find it used for like $12 or $15. New, I think it's about $25 on Amazon. Well worth it though. So this book has exercises in the second section called polarities. There's one called triangles, there's one called squares, and there's one called double binds. And these are all energetic challenges that we have in our mind. We see them mathematically in the charts. This matches. We experience them as knots of consciousness internally that get projected into knots of experience in our outer world. So if you work out these, blips within you, it helps to work out the blips outside of you. So I highly recommend that for this time and always. Be really good for her. The person who wrote this is Leslie Temple Thurston, Thurston. Yeah, okay. So at the same time as the full moon, we have Venus making a conjunction to Uranus. Now, Venus rules love and beauty and money. Uranus rules surprises. Sometimes surprises are good, sometimes they're not as good. However, if this event were occurring without the influence of Mars retrograde and without the influence of Mercury retrograde, which Mercury goes retrograde on April 28th, the shadow period started April 2nd, so you're very much in this period of time entrenched in both of the energies of retrograde, plus Pluto retrograde, right? So if this were happening in the absence of all of that, I would be a little bit more, or a little bit less wary about it, we'll say, because it could bring surprises, but can sometimes be without major consequence. When you have the energy of impulse running high with your romantic sector or your financial sector or something you do to your physical beauty or your body or something like that in the name of beauty, it's a little bit more dicey because anything you do could have a longer effect. So you have to be really, really careful to not make a hasty romantic or financial or beauty decision, especially around this time. Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde in general are not good times to do any of those things. It's like a long period of time where that's not indicated, but especially with the energy of Venus bringing this surprising energy with Uranus, it's like something could happen very quickly that could change the course of your life, and maybe not in a good way if you're not careful. Now, it doesn't mean that some positive gifts can't come in. Maybe they will, and that would be amazing. I want to give it a little bit extra time so that it goes into your mind that if something happens at that time and you're like, oh, Annie, you told me about this, that you think it through and don't just follow the flow of it, because the flow of it may or may not be a good outcome for you. So these are the main things that I'm looking at for the energy of April. It's basically, what I'm calling this, the theme for this month is keep the beach vibe. I do a write-up for my VIP crew who's on my email newsletter list, and I title each month sort of with a general energy to understand it better. And I'm calling this one Keeping the Beach Vibe. And the reason is because there are two really different scenarios that you can create with this energy. One is energy is moving forward while energy is moving backwards. You are very powerful with wanting to push things forward, but the energy is going backwards, which creates the keynotes of Mars retrograde, which can be frustration and anger. Then you have a very difficult time, you're stressed out, you're doing a bunch of work and not getting anywhere, and you're not happy and you're not comfortable. Or you can take this visualization with you. Imagine that you're at the beach. I love the beach, it's one of my favorite places. Imagine whatever you want for your beach. I imagine it's a warm beach with white powdery sand and you're relaxing. And then thoughts start going through your mind of things you have to do. You've got this beach vibe and you've got this, I gotta do all this stuff vibe. So rather than just staying at the beach forever, because we know we do have to do certain things and life happens, you can take the energy, the laid back vibration of the beach. Also, if you've lived on the beach or near the beach, you know that there's a different vibe that goes along with it. It's more laid back. So if you take this to your tasks, you'll be so much happier. So write down the things you think you should do you think you need to be doing, reevaluate them, take some of the things off and say, actually, I don't really need to be doing those things. Get your list smaller and then work on that, just a very small concentrated list of just what has to be done. Then if you encounter problems with pulling that list together, further scrutinize whether you actually need to be doing them and whether you need to be doing them then, at that time. And if you do need to, then breathe, bring back the beachy scene, bring back the warm air and the drink with the umbrella and all of whatever you got going on there, the steel drums, and bring the beachy vibe to what you're working on. You know, so I want that for you. I want you to have the presence of mind and use the tools to work through the issues that come up, the unfinished business that comes up, and hold the beachy vibe. So if you would like some assistance with that, you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. I have lots of blogs that are intended to help you understand astrology and using it. I have health blogs, I have inspirational blogs, sustainability blogs. And while you're there, you can see my growing list of self-development tools, including my subliminal programs, which help to build new neuronal pathways in your mind. You can see those under Train Your Brain. And definitely sign up for my free emails newsletter, where you become one of my VIPs and you will have access to all kinds of things that I'm planning for you and the things I already offer you. And if you're interested in having a successful online business and you don't already, then maybe my course, which is enrolling now, is good for you. Check it out. It's called Creating Successful Online Business. So I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye.